Hey, it's Chris Jane. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm still doing the Black BookTube is Reading Challenge. And I saw on social media that a lot of us who are participating in the challenge are saying that they don't read self-help. So I thought I'd do a video about self-help for those that do, because I love a self-help book, like a good practical self-help book that has real advice and suggestions about things you can put in practice. I also do like some of the inspirational self-help that just sort of makes you think a different way, helps you see the world a different way. Because I think we're all always like telling ourselves stories about our past, like our childhood, our parents, our families, about our present or about our future. Like we tell ourselves stories. And I feel like a good self-help book actually help us examine like what are those stories that we're telling ourselves and get rid of the ones that don't serve you. And I think, especially as I've gotten older, I've become more investigative, I think, about like the stories that are automatically running in my head and which ones are good and which ones are not so good. Or which ones maybe were good for when I was younger, but aren't good for me anymore. So if that's your thing, here are 5 books that help me live and create differently. So the first one is a book by Koya Webb. It's called Let Your Fears Make You Fierce. Let Your Fears Make You Fierce. And so Koya Webb is a yoga teacher and a former Olympic hopeful, and she talks about that Olympic journey and about her athletic journey and some of the stresses and disappointments that she had in her life. And how she uses meditation and yoga and wellness practices to help manage the stress and heal. She talks very specifically about certain traumas that she's had, things that have happened to her in her life, and how she's managed to move through them and through the fear that they created to have a life that she wants, create the life that she wants. And she also has a podcast that's interesting on like, I don't know, Spotify and Apple Podcasts or whatever. So that's Koya Webb's Let Your Fears Make You Fierce. So one other thing, she has like breathing exercises and yoga poses, and that's kind of the practical piece of it, right? That she has not just like the anecdotes about her life or stories about how to, move past difficulties. She has some like practical things that you can do, she includes. So the next book that I recommend is called Black Liturgies by Cole Arthur Riley. And I actually have that one. I mentioned in one of my other videos that I do a lot of ebooks, but this one I actually have in hard copy, and I keep it next to my bed. And it's a collection of prayers and poems, and it's both her writing and the writing of other sort of Black figures, intelligentsia figures and writers and that sort of thing, philosophers. And so it's just a collection, and it is written as like sort of prayers or conversations that you can have with God or a divinity, but it's not like specific to a particular tradition. There are some things in it that are Christian, like the writings are sort of sorted by theme and by timing. And the timing piece, some of it is like, stuff to read in the morning, stuff to read during the day. But some of it is like at particular holidays. And some of those holidays, like Lent and that sort of thing, are Christian. But it's not pegged to any specific theology. And you can pick your way, sort of read all the way through it, or pick and choose, just open it a particular page and read. And it's just, they're short kind of messages to get you that are prayers that you can recite or kind of contemplate or reflect on, or just things that can help you kind of think differently. And I thought I would read one of them. So this is, I just sort of picked this one today. This is a prayer, and it's for a joy that transcends, is kind of how she has it. And it says, "Honest God, we don't want to fake it. We can't go on with forced smiles and feigned laughter when happiness seems so far from us. The weight of the world is so heavy, it feels as if we don't have any strength left to carry joy along with it. Be with us now, and as we try to reclaim and attune to some beauty in the world. Keep us from despair. Let joy be the arms that carry us from hopelessness. Not that we would have to manufacture our own happiness, but that a mysterious peace would comfort us, that joy itself would be the ground beneath our feet when we feel weary. Grant us emotional honesty on the journey, knowing you will never ask us to dismiss our pain. Rather, you ensure that our pain doesn't consume us. Remind us that more than one thing can be true at once, that the world can be terrible and still dare to be beautiful. In the fight against oppression in all its forms, may joy protect us. Amen. So that's like just an example of one of the liturgies that's in it. And you can tell it's like very much oriented toward like Black consciousness and Black people and the lives of Black people. But it's like just really good kind of either advice or just ways of thinking that are really helpful and I think supportive. So that is Black Liturgies by Cole Arthur Riley. Another one is called Set Boundaries and Find Peace by Nedra Tawab. And you can follow her on Instagram, but also check out the book. It's good if you have like difficult family dynamics and how she gives advice on how to navigate those and set boundaries to where you can both protect yourself and maintain like valuable relationships. So that one is really good. That's Set Boundaries and Find Peace. So the other one is a book that I read around the same time that I read that Boundaries book. And this one is not by a Black author, but I still think it's a really interesting self-help book. And it's called The Perfectionist's Guide to Losing Control by Katherine Schafler. And there are a bunch of lessons in there about how to move past like high demand parents, which many of us have, or if you come out of a high demand religion. I grew up, it's a whole other topic. I grew up in a very high demand, almost cult-like evangelical religion. And so had to kind of deconstruct that and move past that. But it instilled a lot of, some of these things instill perfectionism and like a real lack of grace for yourself. And so The Perfectionist's Guide to Losing Control is a great book that talks about how to take charge of your life and all those things, but not beat yourself up and not hold yourself to standards that are impossible and, you know, sort of inhumane treatment of yourself. And then the last one that I'll mention is nonfiction. So it's not, but it's not really like self-help unless you're an author. But I am an author, and I know many of you who are on the participating in the Black BookTube are readers, but you're also maybe writers or want to be writers. And so if you're looking for craft books by Black writers, look up Theodora Taylor. She has lots of books on this idea of universal fantasy, including a book, Seven Figure Fiction, which is some great like craft advice on how to like build deliciousness into your writing. I recently downloaded a workbook that she has called the Universal Fantasy Butter Workbook. And butter is her idea about what you layer into your writing to make it more delicious for readers, to make it more appealing and make it more consumable, like readers can't get enough of your books. So that's Theodora Taylor, and Seven Figure Fiction is one of her books. And then the other one, the workbook, is called Universal Fantasy Butter Workbook. And that one has some templates and things that you can fill out for plot and characterization. And I think it's like really helpful. It's very, you know, her books, the whole idea of universal fantasy, if you go to craft workshops, especially romance craft workshops, because she writes some romance, but it's applicable regardless of what genre you write. Or if you don't write genre fiction, you write general fiction. It's just the idea of like, how do you create books that people will really want to consume? And so those are some like quick self-help kind of nonfiction suggestions. If you're interested in that particular kind of book, I do especially recommend the Black Liturgies book because it's just a great one just to have. And to like flip through, get words of encouragement. It's like I said, organized by theme. So it has things on grief and mortality and forgiveness and, family. And it's just, organized thematically. So it's like almost finding readings for different aspects of life for whatever you happen to be going through. So if you have recommendations for some self-help books that you really like, drop them in the comments. And if you don't read self-help, let me know why you don't read self-help books. Like, what's the sort of barrier to reading self-help books? And like I said, recommendations, drop them down below. Like and subscribe this video, and I will catch you in the next one.